Ministers are proposed voting changes for mayoral elections in English devolution bill. We're going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline that ministers propose a voting changes for mayoral elections in the English devolution bill. After frustrations over losses to reform, Labour wants to scrap the first past the post system brought in by the Conservatives. If you can hit that like and share button, it would be greatly appreciated down below, guys. These changes, I really like the changes. So we'll have a look at some of the things in the English devolution bill that they've got. The Guardian has put down in its piece down there below. The frustration that they say over losses to reform, I want to make something clear from my perspective of this. It's not because I would not say this is entirely the fault of the voting system. You still got to win over the public. You still got to win over those voters. And reform, like it or not, they have several MPs. They have lots of councillors now. They have control of certain sections, and that is because of their position and the way they have campaigned, and especially some of the campaigns that they had in the local elections. Labour just didn't turn up for some of them. They just didn't turn up for some of them, and that's why they lost them. And that's the grim reality of it. You've got to be willing to put bodies out there to win over the hearts and minds. And also, when you're in government, you're always the incumbent. You're always the one who's been looking at to make changes. And granted, many people are frustrated about Labour, including myself, about some of the changes that Labour are making, and some people expect it to be done overnight. There's a lot of people, the British public, a lot out there, are very impatient about the changes that Labour are doing. The problem is that, and I've said this before and I've said this again, people don't understand. It takes time to fix things than it does to break things. And that's what the Conservatives did for a long period of time. Yes, and you can argue all you want about the Ukraine war, about the pandemic, about Brexit, and of course these factors all play into the situation that the UK is in now. But there was only one political party in charge for a vast majority of that period, and that was the Conservative Party. Yes, they had a coalition with the Lib Dems, and the Lib Dems should not be forgotten for their time in the 5 years that they were sharing a bed with the Conservatives as well. But in terms of this voting changes, I really like some of the things that they're going to be introducing. I think this is needed. I think first past the post system does not work. I don't think it works in any of our electoral systems. I think first past the post is not beneficial in any way, shape, or form to me or you when it comes to being able to cast our votes in the UK. I think it's really, really important that we scrap the first past the post system, because it keeps the same people in power, and it's not right. There are lots of different voting systems, but the first past the post one is one that I'm very much against, and I hope most of you guys listening are against it too. But if some of you still think that first past the post is good, let me know your reasons why down in the comments below. So, ministers are changing the voting system for mayoral elections in a move likely to make it harder for reform politicians to take big regions like Lincolnshire and Hull as they did this year. So the changes are part of a new devolution bill intended to bring a radical reset to local government, which will take further steps towards merging many districts and county councils into utility strategic authorities. The move is likely to please Labour MPs and local authorities after frustration over losses to two recent contests where Andrea Jenkyns, a Reform mayor, was elected on 42% of the vote in Lincolnshire. See, that's not right there, to have won on 42%. While Luke Campbell, the Reform's mayor in Hull and East Yorkshire, got 35%. Again, that doesn't add up to me. In another part of the legislation, mayors will now be elected under a preferential system rather than first past the post, a change designed to make sure candidates have broader support. The changes reverse a decision made by the Conservatives in 2022 to switch the system to first past the post away from the supplementary voting, where voters have a preferred choice and second choice, and the candidate does not win outright with more than half the votes. After that decision, the consultation unit at University College London concluded it had favoured the Tories and the right compared with more fragmented left-of-centre parties in politics, including Labour, Lib Dems, Greens and Independents. We need the electoral system to be fair. If reform does, polls say that the reform have the majority of the public on their side. Well, they shouldn't have an issue with this because they have many hearts and minds, so they should have no issues with these changes, should they? Unlock Democracy, a campaign group pushing for changes to the electoral system, said it was first acknowledgement that we've seen from the government that its first past the post is not fit for purpose in an age of multi-party politics, adding that mayoral system should be the first step. This is exactly how I see this. I see this as the first steps. Although personally, I'd like to see the changes. I would like to see the changes done sooner. Especially on the general election side, but that is something that there is a committee group looking at changes, potential changes to our electoral system, but not completely. But there are committees looking at that, among other things, when it comes to our political system. But then that consists of quite a few variety of MPs, not just Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, quite a few different parties in that. And again, this is something that's going to take time. I know people are like, we need to change the system, like to stop reform coming into power. I know that application comes into the minds of people, but it's something that needs to be looked at carefully, drafted carefully. Like if they do decide to make this, and they should make the move the shift away from first past the post from a general election and local election campaigns, it needs to be done the right way. Consultation is an important part as well. So Darren Hughes of the Electoral Reform Society says supplementary voting raises the bar for politicians. They will again have to secure broad backing from voters to win power. Restoring those elections and a more representative electoral system is a big step in the right direction for improving confidence in our politics. So other changes to the bill include, so these are some of the other measures. So first off, giving the Secretary of State powers to direct local authorities to reorganise into bigger utility authorities where they are not making significant progress locally towards their goals. I have no issue with that. Measures to make it easier for communities to take ownerships of pubs, shops and social hubs through the right to buy. It means communities will have the first opportunity to purchase local assets when they are put up for sale, given an extended 12-month period to raise the funding. This is a big thing. This is a massive thing, especially for local areas. And especially for people who are listening who are from rural areas and whatnot. One of the things that really is frustrating, especially, is when a big supermarket or whatnot comes in and takes up all the income or money away from the local shops and local area. That's a big hammer blow, especially to local shops and businesses. We need to make sure that we are doing, like, for me, in terms of businesses and shops on the high street, and communities, it's a step in the right direction. More, I feel, can be done on this, but this is still good steps towards that. Protections for more local sports grounds by introducing a new category to protect local sporting assets, preserving local character, boosting tourism and keeping community spirit alive. I don't know enough about this, but it looks pretty solid on paper there. A ban upwards on only rent reviews, the UORR clauses in commercial lenses, which stops downward negotiation for rents for shops and other high street premises. I have mixed feelings about that one. I'm not quite sure how to comment on that. I mean, like especially like if your premise is above a shop, you know, there should be certain aspects to it in comparison to others. I'm not quite sure how to respond to that one. More powers for mayors across England to speed up the development of new homes and infrastructures in the area. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. New licensing powers to govern rental, e-bikes, neighbourhood plans, and new planning powers for local authorities set for direction of growth across their areas. I just want to put this out, and when it comes to e-bikes, that there needs to be done to stop people dumping their e-bikes everywhere. I know it's obviously a lot of teenagers. Well, I know in here, but obviously rural areas, I can't speak for them, but because obviously I'm from London. You know, one of the things that tends to be a big problem is that people just simply take the e-bikes or don't pay for them, go a certain way, and then when it runs out, they just dump it, and it just gets dumped everywhere. That's something that needs to be addressed. A new body called for the local audit office to keep on top of council spending and accounts. I have no problem with this. If this protects councils from going bankrupt and making sure that they are looking after their pennies, I'm all for that. So Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, said we were elected on a promise of change, not just for a few airy cherry-picked by Whitehall spreadsheets, but for the entire country. It was never going to be easy to deliver the growth that our country desperately needs with the inheritance that we were dumped with. But that's why we're going to opt in to devolve, not dictate, and delivering a bill that will rebalance decade-old dividends and empower communities. We're ushering a new dawn of regional powers and bringing decision-making to a local level so that no single street or household is left behind and every community thrives from our plan to change. There's still a lot of, like I said, there's steps in the right directions, but there can be more to be done in a lot of areas. However, the Conservatives accuse Rayner of brazen power grab, giving herself powers to impose reorganisation on local authorities where it cannot be agreed locally. This is not devolution; it's Labour's gerrymandering under the guise of reform," said the shadow local government secretary Kevin Hollingrad. The devolution bill was met with a cautious welcome by local government groups. Louise Griffin, the chair of the Local Government Association, which represents council, said it is crucial that the full breadth, diversity and capabilities of local government is recognised and that all councils are enabled to play a meaningful role as partners and, where appropriate, as part of strategic authorities in driving growth, improving services and improving lives of our residents. Councils across the country are deeply invested in and vital to our success of English devolution. We will respond with more details on behalf of our local government where we have analysed the bill further. Like I said, there's still obviously more to. There'll be still more into this, but my initial reaction looking at this is that the majority of it, pretty much, I'm very much in agreement with, especially if it gives more powers to local authorities. I don't like the fact that some of the devolution powers will not be completely entirely decided by those there, and that Angela Rayner could potentially just and that minister in government can kind of just say, no, you guys have got to come together whether you like it or not, sort of thing. I don't like that. That does worry me a little bit there. But as for the proposed voting changes, we need to see more details a bit closer to the time, more details about this, and I'm sure there'll be more discussions about this. But this is good first steps when it comes to the changes to our electoral system, and then starting it here with the mayoral ones. I mean, we really should be taking pages about how the seed in Wales and in Scotland, how their voting systems are in there as well. We should be replicating them as well as other similar election methods that are in Europe in order to protect our so-called democracy, because the system we have right now is completely and totally unfair. It does not represent the majority of the British public. Let's just remind ourselves that at the last general election, the majority of people that voted Labour did not vote Labour because they believed in Labour. They voted Labour because they wanted the Conservatives out. So Labour have the MPs they have because people were fed up with the Conservatives. And it's very important to remind ourselves of that. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you guys make of the proposal for the English devolution bill? What do you guys make of some of the ideas that are coming from it? I generally want to know your thoughts and more down in the comments section below. Now, if you found this video interesting or informative, hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms as well. And if you want to financially support me and the work that I do here, you can click the join button down below to become a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.